So now that NXT champion Trick Williams seemingly has placed Ethan Page in the rear view mirror, many of us wondered who would be next in line for a championship opportunity for the NXT title. Now that answer kind of manifested itself in last week's episode of NXT, emanating from the ECW arena as Ridge Holland and Ethan Page got a victory over Bubba Ray Dudley and Trick Williams. But it was Ridge Holland who would gain the pinfall victory over the NXT champion. Now, myself, and of course many other fans alike would assume that this would place Ridge Holland in championship contention. But as we saw on this week's episode of NXT, a little bit of a wrinkle in the storyline has exposed itself as Andre Chase is not finished with Ridge Holland. You see, they had their feud over the course of the last few months that would see Ridge Holland attack members of Chase University that would include Riley Osbourne, Duke Hudson, and of course getting the victory over Andre Chase in the ambulance match. Now, I was surprised that Andre Chase took the loss from Ridge Holland. I thought for sure we were going to give Andre a great babyface win here and elevate him hopefully up the card, but that wasn't the case. They used this as a vehicle to push Ridge Holland as a bigger heel. He would get the victory over Andre Chase, as I just mentioned, and would insert himself in Trick Williams' business. In turn, this is a great opportunity for Ridge Holland, who has steadily been rising up the ranks of the NXT roster. But as we mentioned, Andre Chase does not see his feud with Ridge ending anytime soon. He said his business wasn't done with Ridge Holland. He wants another match, another opportunity to dispatch of the man that infiltrated Chase University and target each member of his faction. Rightfully so, Andre Chase should not let this go. But Ridge Holland has his sights on bigger and better things. He wants that matchup against Trick Williams for the title, and Trick Williams wants to get his hands on Ridge Holland, but in turn also mentioned the amount of respect that he had for Andre Chase. You see, you have to go back all the way to the early days of NXT 2.0. Andre Chase was one of those new faces that was introduced during the revamp era of NXT. He was accompanied with the likes of guys like Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Grayson Waller, Tony D'Angelo, and Andre Chase, I think, really was one of those members of that core group that hasn't really amounted to a lot of success. Now, granted, he has won the NXT tag titles, but in comparison to guys like Waller, Breaker, Mello, and D'Angelo, he really has fallen down the card. And to see that level of respect and appreciation that Trick Williams, the NXT champion, no less, gave in his direction, it does a lot of well, for Chase and the group itself. I think it makes for a compelling story here, because Trick Williams made a suggestion: why not have Andre Chase get another shot at Ridge Holland, but with the stipulation being that the winner gets a championship opportunity against Trick at NXT Deadline. Now, on its own, that matchup will main event next week's NXT because it has championship implications and it ties a bow on the rivalry that is Chase versus Holland. But then Ridge Holland isn't interested in facing Chase. He wants to up the ante. And up the ante will they ever, because Andre Chase is basically placing Chase University on the line. Not necessarily the university itself, but his relationship with Osbourne, Thea Hale, and Duke Hudson. And what I really appreciate about this is if you wind the clock back a few months ago, when it was announced, when it was revealed that Chase had a gambling problem, that he lost the university due to his gambling issues. And we're revisiting that here with this matchup because, again, he's placing his group, his family in a sense, on the line to not only get his hands on Ridge Holland, but to finally have a championship opportunity for the NXT title, really putting in perspective what he truly desires. Now, whether or not he gets the victory, of course, we have to wait to see. But it adds another layer to the story, because if this was a straight up NXT Championship #1 contenders match, I would be very comfortable and confident in saying that Ridge Holland gets the victory. He's already pinned Trick. He's already had these interactions with Trick. It makes sense to set it up for a match at Deadline. But he has gotten a victory already over Andre Chase. So for him to go up 2-0, that really cements himself as a superior force than Andre. And it doesn't do him any favors. That, of course, being Andre Chase. If anything, for me, it kind of portrays him as a weaker competitor, which they've already done over the past few years. Andre Chase, of course, in the natural style of WWE booking, would get the victory. That 50-50 booking, one win here, one win there, and it would give him that opportunity for a title match, something he has not had, and it would put him in a high-profile matchup, maybe adding to the potential of maybe a call-up to the main roster, which again, he's one of the very few members of 2.0 to not make it to the main roster. But then you add the extra layer of placing Chase U on the line. And it's like, what are we doing? If Andre Chase gets the victory, yes, he does retain, the group, and he gets that championship opportunity. It's a happy ending for Andre Chase. But then what were we doing with Ridge? Why were we spending so much equity and time on him versus Trick? And vice versa. Ridge Holland logically wins the matchup here. But then with Andre Chase, as I mentioned, would go 0-2 against Ridge and lose his family. Where would we go with that? Unless if they pull the switcheroo and eventually he gets his family back, but that's not the focal point right now. Now, what a possibility could be is perhaps some sort of interference or a no contest, a double DQ, double countout, something along those lines that would lead to a triple threat match. I think I would be more inclined to pick that and have Andre and Ridge and Trick all in one match. It'd be something unique. We haven't seen a combination of those three in a matchup. But again, it's an interesting point here where we're at with the NXT main event scene. Guys who are traditionally in that main event scene have either moved up to the main roster or have already had their place in the sun. Guys like a Javon Evans, guys like an Ethan Page, and it's time to make room for newer faces. That's what we're doing here with Ridge and Andre Chase. But regardless, I am enjoying this further of the storyline between the three. Andre and Trick have never interacted. We got that interaction. Ridge and Andre aren't done with their story. We're hoping there's a conclusion here with this matchup. Ridge wants Trick and Trick wants Ridge. That is the likely route we're going to go, but will it be at the expense of Chase U? So certainly that will be a match to keep an eye on, especially in regards to next week's NXT and the build up to NXT Deadline. But I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on this NXT #1 contenders matchup, as well as the current reign of Trick Williams as NXT champion? Make sure if you enjoyed this video to give the video a thumbs up. Comment down below, as I mentioned, your thoughts on the ongoing storyline, and don't forget to give it a good old DDT to the subscribe button to keep up to date with all pro wrestling videos on this channel. And of course, my name is Ramos Jr, and I'll be seeing you all in the next video.